Happy Thursday on TYT Sports. You know the drill by now. We're here on the rundown. You want to hear about Phil Jackson? You're going to stay on this clip. You want to hear about the highest paid footballers? You're going to move on to Lionel Messi 30 minutes apart and Steph Curry and Golden State Warriors at the top. Consistently let us know what you guys think of this rundown and we will answer your thoughts in the comment section below. Let's get to Phil Jackson, Jason, Ruben.
Yeah, really the main question here is, do Knicks fans really want to trust Phil Jackson at this point? And as a Knicks fan, I can speak candidly, but before we get to that, lots of Knicks news.
Before we get to that, it's time for a little random fact. Jason Ruben.
Oh, I forgot you have a fact. Yeah, let's hear it.
In his tenure through his NBA career, 11 championships, by the way, not a bad record. How many times has he won Coach of the Year?
Phil Jackson, I'm going to say he's won it. I'm going to say he won it 3 times with the Shaq and Kobe Lakers.
Once.
Only once?
And it's with the 95-96 Bulls. Now, that's not discrediting your knowledge. That's a surprising fact. As I mentioned, I'm going to continue with my surprising facts, but that's 2-0 for Maxwell. We'll move forward.
Yeah, interesting take on that, only because I feel like they give Coach of the Year, now that I think about it, more to teams who make a big turnaround.
True.
Not teams that necessarily win the championship. But he was the best coach in the NBA for a long time. Regardless, lots of Knicks news. Phil Jackson, President of Basketball Operations for the New York Knickerbockers. And first, Phil tweet in regards to the firing of Derek Fisher, because that happened recently, and the Knicks are now in a goddamn train wreck of an organization. But we need that tweet. So first tweet, graphic number 1. From Phil. I am sad about D. Fish, however, I am not discouraged. Here are some things pundits should know before assuming, quote, next. So we wrote out a lot about his philosophy on basketball. We actually have the 11 Rings book over there on the bookshelf, to which he talks about how there's a certain type of philosophy that you need to coach in the triangle offense that he used to win many championships with the Bulls and the Lakers, and maybe someday, hopefully, please, the Knicks. And we continue, though, because Sports Illustrated ran not even hours after Derek Fisher gets fired. After the firing of Knicks coach Derek Fisher and an admission of failure on the part of the team president, Phil Jackson, there's, quote, strong belief that Jackson could eventually wind up in Los Angeles with his fiancée Jeannie Buss and the Lakers. The Vertical's Adrian Wojnarowski reports, according to Woj, he could hire Warriors assistant coach Luke Walton or former Bulls coach Tom Thibodeau upon his arrival. But the rumors don't end there, because they continue in terms of what if he stays with the Knicks, who coaches the Knicks? We continue. ESPN coaches such as Tom Thibodeau, Mark Jackson, Jeff Van Gundy, Jeff Hornacek, David Blatt, Scott Brooks are available. None of these coaches are triangle disciples, though. But they've all had success in the NBA, and each would present an interesting candidacy for the Knicks opening. So currently, Kurt Rambis, who worked with Phil Jackson as an assistant for many years, is the interim coach of the New York Knicks. Mm-hmm. They lost on Tuesday to the Washington Wizards. I now owe Ben Mankiewicz $5. 111-108. They have Kristaps Porzingis. We know that. Melo isn't going anywhere. Speaking of Melo, the fifth element we have is Melo on Phil Jackson. God, we have a lot of stuff.
This is part of the business. This is the bad part of the business. These things happen. And for me, in my short stint with Fish, my hat go off to him as a coach, as a player. I respected him a lot. You have to continue to put your trust in the Phil. I mean, at this point, what could you do? You can't shy away from that. Can't go against it. So for me, it's, continue. I have to trust him. I decided to stay here. I decided to make that decision to trust in the Knicks and trust in the Phil. And I have to continue doing that.
We got a DJ Khaled, you loyal.
Yeah. As much as I love, congrats on the storyboard right there. You portrayed a great picture for me. I was very intrigued. But I still prefer Deadspin's ever so mouth-watering title of exactly how high is Phil Jackson right now, in which they'll conclude at the very end. I think the answer is pretty damn high.
Yeah, look, Knicks fans, when Phil came into the equation a year and a half ago, it was, wow, we got one of the greatest basketball minds of all time, hopefully trumping everything owner James Dolan wants to do with this team. And we were atrocious last year. And then we drafted Porzingis, or as my favorite video ever put it, Tingus Pingus. And it turns out that he's going to be a good player. Hopefully stays healthy, all that stuff. And Carmelo is going to stay. Can't ever knock Carmelo for not being loyal to the Knicks. He doesn't seem like he's going anywhere. Pieces are falling into place, but the Knicks are lost 10 of their last 11. They overachieved. Now they're kind of underachieving to where they should be. Here's what I want. Okay, I can tell you what I don't want, and that's Dennis Rodman, which we'll get to from TMZ Sports in just a minute.
Interesting.
Here's what I do want. I would like Scotty Brooks, who coached the Thunder, I don't know why I call him Scotty, Scott Brooks, coached the Thunder, was fired by the Thunder in favor of Billy Donovan, but did develop guys like Russell Westbrook perfectly. And you can see what Westbrook has become. Westbrook was a product of Scott Brooks. He's good with young, underdeveloped talent. What do the Knicks have? Young, underdeveloped talent. Porzingis needs work, of course. Jerry and Grant and Langston Galloway, their young backcourt, need work. That's who should come in to help develop the Knicks. Don't give me Thibs and run my team into the ground. Please, for F's sake, don't give me David Blatt at any point this year or next year or 20 years from now. That's Scotty Brooks. And then the other gamble I was going to say is Villanova's coach right now, Jay Wright. Brad Stevens-esque play creator. Would love him to come in, but that would never happen. So, Francis, before we wrap everything up, we throw to the most ridiculous coaching option, but I'd probably be open to it for at least a couple months just to see what would happen. Dennis Rodman.
Let's say that Phil Jackson is watching this right now. You have his full attention. Make your pitch. Tell him why you deserve to be the next coach of the New York Knicks.
You know me, man. You know Dennis Rodman. You know I got the winningest record of all time in NBA history. And the first thing he probably asked me, "Are you willing to coach, Dennis?" That's the first thing he probably asked me. I said, "Well, you know, I could have said the same thing about Derek Fisher, but you know what, bro? I have more charisma than anybody probably in the world because you know I'm always like relaxed, at ease, and like that's the players get to relate to me about that."
So we can walk away from this thinking that like you're serious about this.
You really want this to happen.
They totally bait him into, oh, you're serious.
So you
You
think
want
you're
this?
serious? You've got the most charisma. You've got it. You've got the job. But one thing I did want to say and touch on this before we go to you, right? So you're obviously a passionate Knicks fan. Phil Jackson comes in with this legacy. He's well known throughout. Everyone, even outside the basketball world, knows who Phil Jackson is and what he stands for. To see your team, I would say, release a manager, coach, franchise, who seemed to be promising, seemed to be work well with the players. He's Derek Fisher in his time, from what I've seen, very passionate player, very intelligent player, very good player, and he seemed to be, I would say, passing on some sort of knowledge. He seemed to be getting a lot out of Carmelo Anthony as well, as you can see with Melo's interview. He seems to hold a lot of, I would say, praise towards Derek Fisher. What does it speak to you as a Knicks fan? Like, what kind of message does this give across? Because we see with the Cavs, them parting ways with their coach, but it seems like no one really caused it didn't really cause as much ruckus as Ben said. Like, you're like, all right, I guess it's okay. LeBron James is in charge of this team now. He wants a different coach in to run a different system. With Fish, what did it mean?
It shows that Phil has a short leash and no bias with his coaches. Derek Fisher was a Laker and a good Laker and helped and was a part of helping Phil Jackson win more rings, right, with Kobe and Shaq and all those teams. He even came back to the team. But he was a young coach, and by young coach, I mean like his first coaching job ever was last year with the Knicks. He wasn't even out of an Oklahoma City Thunder jersey when he got the job. He was still in the league. So it shows that Phil's not biased towards his players. I mean, he obviously has Kurt Rambis in there who coached alongside him, but it's a little bit different considering their relationship of already having a coaching history, Rambis also being a head coach, pretty bad head coach, but a head coach in the NBA with the Timberwolves beforehand. So for me, it just means that if you're not going to come in and try to turn the team around or play effective basketball, at least 500 basketball, you're probably gone at a very short amount of time. So Phil ain't messing around. That's it. And I'm fine with that. Just don't go back to the Lakers, man. Stay with my Knicks, please. I beg of you. That's all I want is to stay. Don't go anywhere. You can do it from Los Angeles. I think he does. I think he has an office here and he calls it into
I'm sure he has several
New York.
offices and houses
Yeah.
and planes and automobiles
Trains.
and everything else. Trains.